All right, so we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm here today with another episode of Make America Debate Again and just a YouTube live stream. I'm here with a blogger and activist, or I don't even know any day. Nowadays, there's so many fake activists, it doesn't even do it justice. But
Yeah.
Marissa Meleske, aka Push Past Paralysis. We're going to get into it in a minute. You can say hi now, and then we'll wait for people to come in.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Anomaly, for having me.
Absolutely, yeah. I saw you reached out. I was like, who should I have on my Make America Debate Again? And you were like, me. And I checked it out, and I was like, wow, I really like what you're about. I like what you're doing. And once people get in a few, I'll give an intro and read some of your blog. You're a great writer. We're gonna get you plugged up on World Cloud Network at some point when I stop getting lazy.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I could spot good writers and good speakers. So I was like, man, we'll wait, like, see who's in the chat. Sometimes I give people a shout out. We got Eric Cole. Is it Colon or Cologne? Probably Cologne, but Colon's funnier. Control.
I was going to go there too.
Yeah, we'll go there. Why not? Control Alt Delete. That's my brother, man. He's been showing love. We got Andrew Time or Theme. I don't know how to say that, brother, but I tried. We got Joe Hake. Appreciate you. Kiss, kiss. Oh, very, very provocative. We got Rob Rydell. Marie Sarah. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys being early. All right, we'll start it up. So I'm here with Marissa Meleske. She reached out and I saw what she was doing. Very cool. According to Twitter, push past paralysis, handyable, stronger spine than most. I like that. Promoter of wheelchair friendly biz, YouTuber, yoga fitness, pro life. Interesting. She doesn't like to murder fully born babies like certain politicians. We'll get into that in a second. And I went to her blog spot and I'm going to read a paragraph from it and then I'm going to let her speak for herself. But, you know, she's advocating for people who are paralyzed, but it says, as far as how I advocate is pretty simple. If you approach the world or people as if they are against you, you won't get anywhere close to your mission being completed. That's projection coming from you. Ask to sit down, converse, come to the table with facts, insight, and drive. See how things unfold from that approach. You'd be surprised. Very impressive. Marissa, thank you again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So what I guess the first question I have is what disability do you have? I'm just curious.
I have spina bifida, which is basically um, the nerves at the base of the spine are protruded out in the womb and then at birth. And then they kind of like put you back together. And, there's different levels. So if, if they like do something a little wrong, it can get a little worse. Some people aren't affected. I'm kind of in the middle. I think occulta is the least severe, and I don't know what's worse, but mine's my meningocele, and I also have I had hydrocephalus, but the shunt that I had put in, my body took it over, which is basically to prevent water from going to the brain.
Okay. And I'm going to read some stuff on the website too, and we could get into this because the disabled community in America, I'm sure it spans a lot of people, but it says an estimated 54 million Americans are living with disabilities. 200 billion per year is supposed to be allocated to American people living with disabilities. People living with disabilities are 20% of the world's poorest people. The unemployment rate among people living with disabilities is around 88%. And that's something you never hear politicians talk about. They'll talk about illegals, they'll talk about, the transgender community, but 88% unemployment rate, that's wild.
The president did just announce that the disabled unemployment rate has gone a little bit lower since that statistic, but I don't know the newest. That
Yeah,
was,
he said it was lowest ever, but even that, because I mean, it's
yeah,
even Black, Hispanic unemployment, the ones, it's not that high. So even if it goes lower, that's still an
still
epidemic in a
very high.
sense. Yeah. So what are your plans to really help that change that? Because I know, you have the mentality and the drive. So how do you think we could help fix that?
Well, I think because I'm more conservative and I'm for small government, I think it's twofold. Yes, we should be allocated the correct amount of money that we're supposed to be getting. We should get better services for buses, bathrooms, and businesses should be equipped for us, which I'm also working on. But we have to take a certain level of personal responsibility. So many people living with disabilities don't believe in themselves. They don't feel worthy. They feel like, whoop.
It's all good.
And I was on a roll. They feel like they were a mistake. They wish they were like everybody else, and they don't realize that everybody's different anyway, which is the title of my first mini book that I wrote. Everyone's different. Get over it.
I like that.
It's like you're only the elephant in the room if you're paranoid enough to think that you are. You know, you shouldn't care.
Absolutely, yeah, and you could use it to your advantage. Like every downfall could be, a ladder if you look at it that way. Because uniqueness is not a bad thing, especially now in America. It's becoming more and more popular. Where it's like now, if you're like a straight man with a wife or something, they're like, get him. So it's
Right. I mean, everybody goes through obstacles, and for me, it drives me to go more towards my goals. It doesn't stop me. It doesn't tell me that I can't do it. It's like, okay, if you're going to tell me that I can't do something, okay, watch me do it and watch me do it better because you told me that I can't.
Absolutely. So you said you were working on a bill as well before we were talking. So how do you think, I guess, politicians, we know, of course, people always self-accountability is good, where people have to believe in themselves. And it's a tough one because there's certain things where, people, they need to build certain structures or something where people can get in. But at the same time, like you said, anytime that happens, they always go full drive and knock the mentality of the whole community lower, where you seem like you're raising it to a new level. So how do they balance that? And what do you think they're doing wrong?
Well, the Americans with Disabilities Act, as it's written now, prior to 1990, you don't have to update older buildings that were built before then. And because I'm rereading it now that I'm getting more into this, because I mean, even though I have a disability, I don't constantly every day think about it. So I it's not something that I was ever really as invested in until I started thinking about everybody else who is disabled and has similar or more severe struggles. A lot of places won't equip unless you physically come and tell them, like, this place is not equipped. And a lot of people, like I said, won't even go and do that. Like a couple of summers ago, I went to the city and I didn't find out until the day before that it was in the old part of the city that is completely not wheelchair accessible, which is funny because New York City is supposed to be one of the best for people living with disabilities. But the guy he was like, I'm sorry, I'm just seeing this now, but we're not accessible. But by then I was so dead set on going, I went anyway, and I had friends lift me up and take me down. But I shouldn't have to do that.
Absolutely. That's good that you got good friends too, and then you get through. And then once you get in the building, you could yell at them. You're like, all right, lift.
No, that's what I did. I took a picture with the owner, and he didn't want to at first because I was telling him, I'm like, if you want, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to shame you. I've been there, done that, gotten the general manager of Nassau Coliseum fired when my mom did. She taught me how to fight for my rights. But, for me, I find that also conversing with them and being like, I don't know if you know that this is what we need, but this is what we need, and I can help you. The guy looked like he wanted to shrink into a hole because he was so embarrassed.
You don't mess with Long Island, I'll tell you that much. Right. I saw that in your Twitter bio. I said Strong Island. So first of all, you don't mess with Long Island. Second off, you don't mess with Long Islanders who call it Strong Island, because then
No.
There's too much. Are you part Italian too or no?
Yes, I'm Italian, Norwegian, Polish. I think I might be slightly Indian, and I know I have a little English blood from a transfusion when I was young.
Yeah. Well, if I'm from New Jersey, and I'm part Italian and Polish as well. We were talking about it, but even if you're not Italian, if you live in the right part of New Jersey or New York, you almost just become Italian. Where I know people they're like, hey man, like they're talking just like my cousins and stuff, and I'm just like, I was like, you're Italian, right? He's like, no, I'm 100% Indian, Hindu or something. But he's just like, I was like, but you're from New York, right? Yeah. How'd you know? How could you not know? Like, how could you not know, brother, man? I get it. You live around enough Italians. You pick up that East Coast attitude. But it's a good thing even out here west, like people, I'm pretty like chill, but I get stuff done. And people are like, man, New York people just come out here and do so much. I'm like, you guys got to stop. I mean, you can smoke the weed if you need to, but I was like, you got to keep it moving like we do on the East. So I have a question, I guess. Have you had trouble, or what does your employment situation look like? Because I know 88%, that's like, just seeing that number, that's a crazy statistic, where I'm sure you've been able to beat it. But what obstacles have you faced in the employment realm, or what obstacles haven't you faced, having a strong mentality?
I actually used to work for the Board of Elections, and you kind of have to, know somebody. So I didn't exactly work for my party, unfortunately. That was seasonal. I never had a problem there. Right now, I babysit 3 days a week at my house, so that's not a problem. But a few years ago, I went to the library up my block. I was just looking for a job, looking for something to do to make some money. And when I went, they're like, well, we're looking for a shelf person. So automatically, and I'm like, okay, well, do you have an area that you can designate me for like the shortest shelves? So they did the interview. They did, prove that I could sort it. And they gave me like the shortest shelves. I purposely took from the top shelf to prove that I could do it. I didn't even look at the bottom ones. I went right for the top and didn't get a call back for months. Finally, I called and they're like, well, we found somebody more qualified. Now, granted, I'm on to bigger and better things and it's better for me, but you don't tell somebody who already has the world against them and who might not have my drive and my determination that they're not qualified for something as simple as putting a book on a shelf or taking it off.
Yeah, when you did, and you did what they wanted you to do too, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like you don't make somebody feel like they didn't do their job, which was even I could say it was simple. Nobody can deny that that's a simple job, and it's demeaning to say that somebody's not qualified for that.
I could feel it though. You have my attitude where someone closes a door on you. It's like, oh, okay, really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, now I'm gonna have to do something even better. That's how, like, when someone does that to me, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, all right. Well, now.
That's exactly what I did when I was in the interview, and then when I didn't get the job, I was like, you know what? That job wasn't meant for me. I'm just gonna do bigger and better things, and that's actually the mentality that I take anyway as the disabled person, because you're only allowed to make, if you're on disability, you're only allowed to make a certain amount a month on the books. So my dream, and it's crazy because 200 billion is supposed to be allocated to us, and it's not, since we're 20% of the world's poorest. Yet I can't wait to get off of my disability, because I feel like it's so constricting. You can't work too many hours, otherwise you'll get that taken off. But you need that because it's the gap between what they're going to take you off on and what you're making is too large. Like if they were gonna take me off after I was making what I would make on it, all right. But they don't do it that way, and then they leave you. Like my father, he passed away in 2009 from cancer and pneumonia. And I was working overtime once he was getting very sick because he was the breadwinner. So I was working, at the board at the time. So I was doing hours until like 8, 9 o'clock and thinking I was doing this great thing to help my family. And the next month I get taken off of Social Security, money that I count on, that I'm, supposed to be allocated. And I'm looking like, okay, this doesn't add up. What are we going to do?
Wow. Yeah. So it's kind of like welfare and unemployment in that way, that it's hard to be critical of, because then people say, oh, you don't like these people or this or that. And you're like, no, but there's something profoundly wrong with the system. It sounds like the disability system too, where if you make enough money and you do well, they take the money away from you. So it actually incentivizes the disabled people not to work as much, or not to work. And just like it incentivizes poor people to not work enough, have a lot of kids, you get paid per kid. So it's incentivizing poverty. I live in California. I know you're in New York. We have the highest taxes and the most poverty and one of the biggest homeless problems. And I keep saying that because it's not a coincidence. It's because
it's not.
They're incentivizing poverty. And when I say that, I don't mean, I understand that some are veterans, some have mental health, some are probably disabled. I know that for a case because I, walk down the streets a lot, but that's not what I'm trying to. And people are like, I'm like, I'm not being mean. It's like, if you do well, like you said, and you're like, okay, then they pull the rug out from under you, and then you make less than you would if you just didn't work at all. So there needs to be a tiered system where if you do work and you're on welfare or you're disabled, getting that government money, where if you do really well, you should be rewarded more at bare minimum, not get it taken away because they're incentivizing unemployment.
They do have right to work, and they also have, like, I learned after that incident where I got it taken away, that if you report that you're only working seasonally, I think it's up to 9 months, they won't touch your check. But if somebody's starting at the bottom of a good job and they're working their way up, how are they, it still doesn't add up to me that, like, you could keep going and then, God forbid, you miss that call where you forget to notify them. You're completely screwed because of one little mistake. And a lot of disabled are nervous as it is. Like, we go through anxiety, depression. They're nervous enough to get the job, than to put that on them, that, oh, you're gonna, if I don't report this, like, now in the 9-month mark, you're gonna penalize me potentially for all the work that I've done.
Yeah, the whole system doesn't make sense in that way. And I wish, I mean, I don't understand how to get that going, but starting is dialogue and letting them know, like, you can't incentivize not working and you can't penalize working harder. And that's what they've been doing. And that's why they call it, well, I say the trap when they talk about the hood and stuff. It's like, it's also the welfare trap, where it's like, if you work hard enough, they take it away. So no one wants to work like that unless you make it as like a really successful person, like make millions of dollars. But it's like, if you go from welfare to like 50,000, you'll make less. So it's like, why even strive? They're incentivizing weakness.
That's why I want to get to a point where I'm making more, but it's so scary to get to the brink of it and still not have enough. Like, if I could wake up tomorrow and all the hard work that I've done for so many years could finally be coming together and I could be already making more, great. But life doesn't work that way. You know, it's going to come to a point where you get nervous that, oh, you're getting to a certain point, are they going to punish me? Are they going to take me off?
Yeah, it's so bad. Hopefully we could try to figure out how to work that. Someone in the comments said you should be a forklift driver. I don't know if that's up your alley, but I thought it was funny.
Maybe. I do have a Firefly scooter attachment to the front of my wheelchair.
There you
I
go.
don't use it often, but once the weather gets nicer, I'll use it again.
I think I saw you on Twitter because I started following. I think you were saying something about disabled doing more computer cell phone jobs. Am I correct? Was that you that said that?
Yeah, I feel like so many, not only because of the money situation and they're afraid, so many don't believe in themselves and they believe they can't work. Well, if you can be on the computer talking to me right now, or the phone, you have the world at your fingertips. You could do something.
And I know my friend, I don't know exactly what he does for work, but he's running Legsit, and he's disabled, and you know, he just crushes it. I know he's always got his cell phone, where, you know, it is true. It's definitely and you're writing. I do want to say too, on your website, I I don't see a lot of good writing, especially in the mainstream media. They're terrible, and that's their full-time job. But like everything you said, not only it makes sense, but you have really good punctuation. Where I'm extremely impressed by your blog. I was like, wow, it's common sense and basic stuff doesn't happen. So not only is it great, but I'm like, she gets it. She's got it on lock. So that's
Wow.
definitely a future position, hopefully.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, let's talk about the crazy abortion laws too, because I know also
Ugh.
not only are you an activist for your people per se. No, I'm just, but you know what I'm saying. You get really into politics, and your people are also the American people, and babies and born lives. It's getting weird, not only in your home state of New York, but that bill that just passed yesterday. Uh, it's disgusting to even think about. It's if they try to do an abortion and it doesn't work and the baby survives, so they don't kill the baby the first time, that they won't penalize the doctor for. It's just like, it's ridiculous. And I know that you're disgusted by that as well.
It's stomach turning. It's at that point, like, I especially for disabled, doctors way too freely offer abortion. It should not even be on the table, because I actually did a survey because somebody kind of challenged me that, oh, people, because my parents were given the option based on my disability. So it's like, oh, that can't be common. Okay, I asked in groups that I'm in with thousands of people. They were either, their parents were asked, or their parents didn't know that they were going to be disabled because they didn't get the in-depth testing. So they were born anyway. And you know, loved, not born anyway and, you know, resented. But
Yeah.
most times if you get the testing and it comes out you're going to have a disability, specifically mine, spina bifida, they will offer abortion. And they shouldn't, because everybody that I talk to in those groups is thriving. The doctors scare you, and I do understand to a certain point you have to know worst case scenarios, but balance that out with the best case scenarios, which is why I'm so vocal. I want people to see, like, not only do I want to reach the disabled community, I want to reach moms. I want to reach pregnant women that are scared, because that's the thing. They put so much fear into you, and they don't have to.
It's crazy too, because I mean, there's nothing wrong with you. Your mind and your spirit are extremely high level, where it's just murder. And I don't believe God makes mistakes, even with,
Nope.
you know,
I say that all the time.
Even with mental disabilities such as like autism and stuff like that. You have people who are slower in certain areas, but then they're geniuses in other areas. So it's like there's a reason that everything happens, and it's not for you to, especially this late term. I mean, early on, honestly, this whole situation has made me anti-abortion all the way through.
The more they push it, the more everything about it seems like murder.
It's just nuts, because like I see like someone's like, my son's autistic, and then I'm like, is he really brilliant in certain areas? They're like, yeah, he's, you know, he's thrives in these certain areas. And like you said, you're like, my body, you know, I had a physical ailment of sorts where they might have been like, all right, but your mind and your spirit, I could feel it, and you're writing and what you're advocating for, there's nothing wrong at all. If anything, you're running laps around, you know, people who would have been like, oh, have this baby, don't have this baby. It's not, it's just murder. It's like eugenics, or saying, you know, well, these kids are not that good at volleyball, so just murder them, or they're not good enough in math. Like, to me, I don't see a difference. It's like you can justify because they have some sort of maybe mental or physical disability, but it's like it's eugenics at this point. That's what they're justifying.
Honestly, that's what's scary. The fact that they're advocating now for killing a baby who lived and survived through an abortion instead of adopting it out, if the parent truly doesn't want it, they're going to find ways to just start killing people. And I know people think that we're crazy when we say that, but I see no reason why they would stop now. The fact that they've let it get this far and didn't stop way before this, who the hell knows how long it's going to go.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And I'm trying to wave it, because I have like people who follow me that are like, hey, I like this guy, that guy. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to agree with certain policies. But like, if you don't understand what they're doing in New York, the late term third trimester abortion, if you don't understand Ralph Nordstrom saying we'd resuscitate the baby and then ask the mother, if you don't understand that, if you don't understand voting no on a bill that would literally, it's like they're going further and further, where it's like first term, second term, third term. They're already at after birth. It's already murder. So there's
Exactly.
No reason they're going to stop. And you see all the hate and vitriol they have for certain races now, certain religions, certain genders. You go over to certain countries where it's already kind of happening. In South Africa, you know, and there's other parts of the world for sure that are bad, but you have so much people filled with hate and, you know, historical stuff that happened, that they have no problem just killing people to take back land. And here, their whole platform is kind of based on hate for a lot of things. And if they're going to do that now, I mean, it's not a stretch. It's like when they did that and then they're already there. It's like censorship. I was like, are they going to censor people? And now it's like every day they kick somebody new off Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So you're totally right. It's not at this point, we don't have to be, you know, hesitant to say that it's going to happen, because it's pretty much already here.
It's there.
And if you can murder a baby that's just born, the most vulnerable person on the planet, you know, a literally newborn baby that can't defend for itself or do anything, what won't you do? And it's just, it is just sick that so many people, and it's not even a left or right issue, but it's like, if you're on the left, you can't figure this out. Like, you could talk about whatever you want with your policies, but like, if you can't figure out that this is wrong, I'm starting to think like you don't actually care.
And a lot of the issues that they like to throw in your face is it's the mother's choice, because if her life is in danger. Well, most cases that used to happen when the mother's life was in danger is an early birth, you know, and mom and baby ended up fine. You know, some cases maybe not, but you know, you don't. I don't see a reason why you have to kill the baby potentially because something could happen. Maybe it's I'm jaded because of my well, not jaded, but I'm biased because of my situation where I was told I was basically not going to be able to sit up, you know, move around, be a normal person in society. And there really is no such thing as normal, but like I'm, you know, a contributing person to society. You know, so what else are they wrong about?
Yeah, I mean, even probably back in the day, I'm guessing that doctors, if it was life or death, literally, I'm sure that they were allowed to do something about it if it was truly life or death. So I don't know that all this new legislation, they're saying, oh, and then the true colors start coming out where first they said, no, 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 it's for life or death situations. Well, that's already on the table. And even in the bill, it says life or death situations or mental health of the mother. So it's not just life or death situations, it's that or that. So all right, you're not care. So what is it really about? And then the further they go, they're like, well, you know, if there's something wrong with the baby, and then you're like, well, what is wrong? What does wrong mean?
Exactly.
Because it's like my whole life they told me in school that I was not good at this and that. And honestly, now I look back and I'm like, these people didn't know what they're talking about. And I look at politicians and some doctors now and think they have no idea what they're talking about. So what's hate speech, or you know, they have these terms where it's like, what is right and wrong to you? Because it's like you might be stopping the genius, you know, autistic baby who's gonna like run circles around you in math and you can't even count. So it's like, and you know, someone with a physical illness might have a mind and a spirit that's extremely bright, 10 times as bright as yours. So it's not, you're not God, and you're not hopefully not a dictator.
I was literally, you took the words right out of my mouth.
I,
I was just gonna say doctors are not God, and they're severely undereducated, especially in disabilities.
I'm
There's
sure.
a man on YouTube, Dr. Lyle. He's a pro-life doctor in Alabama and Florida, and he's speaking out hard against abortions and the laws in New York now. And he flat out says there's very few instances where the life of the mother would impact the baby if if it was the choice between abortion or early birth.
Mm.
I mean, and the mentality of the mother. Okay, so what is she going to decide that she has depression in her pregnancy, and you know one day she's just going to decide to off it?
Mm.
You can't take that back, and people don't understand that. I know people who have had DNCs where the baby died inside of you and you had no choice. But if you were that far along, you had to, you know, get a surgery to take it out.
Mm.
One of my best friends had that done. She still thinks about it to this day. It was 8 years ago or like 9 years ago. She still remembers the day that it happened. It doesn't go away. So you have to think, okay, you're going through whatever you're going through right now, either fear or not wanting the baby. Well, don't fool yourself that 10 years down the road, you're not going to think, what if? You're not going to think, okay, how old would the baby have been? What, you know, what did I do? And you're going to blame yourself at one point.
Oh, I mean, at bare minimum, like I said, I'm all over abortion completely now. Where it's like any abortion, I wouldn't care if they overturned Roe versus Wade. At this point, I'm fine with it. Like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 3 months ago, I would have been like, no, that's crazy. Now I'm like, dude, you give them an inch, they take a mile, take it all away. They don't deserve it. But it's not like they're perverting these terms like woman's choice. We have murder laws because murder's illegal. And if it wasn't, there'd probably be more murders. And if you incentivized it and gave a doctor $20,000 for murdering people, unfortunately, you'd probably have more doctors murdering people for money. That's essentially what they're at now, where it's like, well, it's the woman's and doctor's choice. Well, just because even first, if you really want to get rid of it before the heart, I mean, I understand a lot of people probably think it's at conception, and I'm starting to as well. But at bare minimum, can you not figure that out early on? Like, you're gonna wait
when
until
the heartbeat starts.
yeah, and your stomach's huge, and then it's like you're gonna be like, you know what, I don't want it anymore. And women are great, obviously, but it's like certain women that don't decide well. It's like, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Do you want to eat there? No, I don't want to eat. It's like, do you want to eat? I don't. Where do you want to eat? So it's like, it's not like they're like, oh, I want to get this aborted now. It's
You're
like
you're gonna get help for that, but I'm on your side with it.
It's funny though, right? It's like,
Yeah.
let's just go to TGI Fridays. All right, and then we get there, and it's like, I wanted to go to Checkers. I was like, just come on, pick a spot. So it's like, when it comes to a baby, it's funny when it's a restaurant or a joke. Hopefully, yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna get demonetized now, but it's not funny when it's a human life. It's like, it's not your choice at that point.
It's not, and that's what they don't understand is they think because it has to come out of your body, it should always be your choice, and no.
Yeah, they've gone too far, and my nice spin on it, because I'm always trying to look for the positive, even though this one's terrible. I feel like Trump has shaken up stuff, and people are really showing their true colors. Where the segregation now, it doesn't seem like it's black and white or left and right. Even to me, it seems like good and evil, and like basic American decency and like total insanity. So at least people are showing their true colors. And I mean, how do you win an election when you're murdering babies and you're lying about everything? I just don't think they're going to win this election. And hopefully, sometimes things have to get so crazy for people to be like, all right. And it shouldn't have to be at the expense of babies' lives. But I'm praying that people wake up soon.
I hope so. And I could see exactly where you're coming from with that. But the way they cheat, I'm scared. That's the only way they can possibly win, is if they cheat.
And they probably will. And my thing with the last election, I think they cheated a little bit and also organized well, but everyone's like, they're cheating. And I'm like, yeah, probably. But did we do anything about it? Are we like, we got to make sure. It's not my job specifically, but like politicians that are on the right and people, like, figure out how to stop them from cheating. Because if we don't do anything about it and they just get away with it, I don't see why they would stop.
And for our part, what we can do, like, we can't do anything about the inside cheating, but if you look at the voter turnout, it's way too small. We need to incentivize people, open people's eyes to what's actually going on, and make them realize the only way is to vote, and vote so hard that the other side has no chance to even fight it. It's so black and white,
Exactly,
that you can't even argue that we won.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying with the midterms, because everyone's like, they cheated. I was like, probably a little bit, but honestly, they also got a lot of young people to vote, and they really brought people out. So no excuses. If they're gonna cheat by 10, we got to win by 50. Like exactly. You said. I want to read a super chat real quick. Marissa said, I was pro-choice until I miscarried at 12 weeks. My baby had tiny little fingers and toes, clearly a mini human. It's also ridiculously sad. And that's 12 weeks. I mean, we're talking about the New York bill where you're from. What is it, 24 weeks or something? For any reason up until 21 weeks or 24 weeks? What?
Isn't it in third trimester?
Third trimester. Well, I think the wording of it, I don't know if it's 21 or 24. Let's see in the comments if people know. But it says, it's worded in a way where it says, for any reason, 24 weeks and under, any reason. Like, it's just like, that's just legal, pretty much. And then it says, from then till birth, if it's for the life of the mother, which you said is very rare, and I agree. Or they said the mental health of the mother. Like, what does that mean? Because now
exactly.
And the weird, the nerve of these people where they're like, we don't want disabled babies with mental or physical health problems. But then they're like, oh, I have mental health problems, I need to abort the baby. It's like, they're such hypocrites, where it's like, what does that even mean? Because some people, it's like a real disorder, and we all go through some stuff. But a lot of these people, they're driving themselves insane. And then they're like, oh, I want to abort my baby because I'm insane. But it's like, you're not even like clinically insane. You're just a weirdo. Yeah, evil. There you go. Yeah, 24 weeks.
I, it's disgusting.
Uh, what other issues really are on your radar? Because I've been following you for like a week since you reached out to me, and I want to say to people too, I can't speak for everyone, but you know, she had a good story, a good message. I was impressed with her writing, and that's what ambition does. I know a lot of people complain, and it is tough times, but if you really go hard for what you want, or at least throw yourself out there, the walkaway movement, Brandon Straka tagged me in and just was messaging me, and then I retweeted it and shared it. So it's like ambition and drive. Same as someone did a song the other week. So I just wanted to ask not only, you know, what else is on your radar politically, but just tell people how far that like a little bit of ambition and good energy goes. Because like just in a week, I went from following you to wanting to really share your story.
And you're one of like the big accounts that people aspire to have follow them. I got so excited when
Oh
you
yeah.
followed me. Um, but yeah, I really want to start speaking, whether it's to small groups of pregnant moms or disabled people, because it's not even the lack of ambition with the disabled, it's people who are around them. Like I coach people with disabilities to the best of my ability, because I don't want to, you know, I want to do it for a living, and I do a lot of free things, but you know, I have to balance it out. So I don't do much, but from the little communications that I've had, and plus in my free Facebook groups that they're not mine, but I participate in them. The thing that I hear the most is, well, I can't do this, and it's mostly because a doctor or their parents have told them not to, that they couldn't.
Mm.
Or
Yeah.
and the parents, I think it's the fear of letting them as a parent, but also as a parent of a disabled. Like it's when you're a parent, you get nervous and you get protective, but that's like 100-fold when you have a disabled child.
It's a good point because it's a tough situation, especially with disabled, but any of like mental health and any sort of like problem, it's hard to explain to people. Where my point is, and it gets misconstrued a lot. I'm not saying you don't have mental illness, only you know, and I would say like, yeah, of course, check with the doctor, but it does seem like they're misleading some people. Like say there's 50 million people with mental health problems. They're telling 150 million people there's mental health problems. Say you have, you know, certain disabilities in your life, they're kind of overreaching and being like, so it's a balance of like, yeah, don't ignore the doctor's orders and don't ignore what issues you might have, because you always want to stay as healthy as possible and aware so you don't hurt yourself further. But there is an element of it where the society, television, social media, doctors, like even like therapists, whatever, a lot of them are, it seems like they're keeping you in that bubble. And some of them are incentivized financially to do so, because if you know, get healed mentally, then, you know, that's a, you're not going to go to them again. And if you don't take the pills, then they might not get a kickback or something. So it's a fine line to walk, but I like that you understand that, where it's like, there's certain things that might not be the best idea for me to do, but it's not like don't throw the victim card onto me and say you can't do anything, because it's like, what if I do that better and you just stop me from like my destiny?
You know, and that's honestly, you made me think a lot about racism with the mental health argument, because what we have, a lot of people are crying racism, but if you look at racism from back then, you know, it's like you can't say anything and it's racist now.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
and then if you go back to people who have actually lived through horrific racism, it's terrible. And then going to what you said about, you know, telling people that they can't. I worked out with Paulie Calafiore, who was on Big Brother and The Challenge, who's one of he's friends with Shaun T, and he's not, you know, in fitness like Shaun T, but to me, he's like a Shaun T. I aspired to work out with him, and I met him, and 3 days later, I was in his gym. First words out of his mouth were, "What are your limitations?"
Mm.
I looked at him. I go, "I don't know. I haven't reached them yet. I don't know. Test it out."
Yeah.
Don't ever, ever ask a trainer that, because you'll be sore for 4 days.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think I work out and I run a lot and stuff, but honestly, like when I'm with somebody who's an actual trainer, a 5 minute or 10 minute thing it seems like 2 hours. I'm like, wait, what? I was like, this is 10 minutes of workout. Wait, I want to just go to the gym and pretend like I work out. I don't want to do this.
A friend of mine got me one of my favorite exercises that I did with him. It was the ab roller. It's my favorite exercise, but I can only do it for a few minutes because it works out your entire body. And
Mm.
I could feel from the knee up, and everything from the knee down, I can't feel. My thighs are killing me after that, and so are my abs. But I know I'm getting a workout. What I would do yoga. Oh, that's another story I could tell you. I did yoga for a while, and I do it when the weather gets nicer up my block. And if I'm not stretched enough or worked hard enough, I'll come home and do it again. But the first time that I actually was there, speaking of limitations and discrimination, it wasn't really outright discrimination. It was more ignorance. So the same lady offers 2 classes up at the local place up my block. And the night that I saw it, because I was interested in it, and I was looking up where the nearest one was, so I saw the one at the library, and she was offering mat yoga and chair yoga. So the night that I saw it, she had been offering mat yoga. So I'm like, you know what? I knew really, I knew what it was, but I didn't know much about it. So I was like, you know what? I'll go and I'll watch. I'll talk to her. I'll watch. And first thing she says to me when she sees me, she goes, "You might be better with chair yoga." Ding! In my head, I was like, "Oh, really?"
Yoga's the real deal. I did it like twice. I'm embarrassed. You're like talking about working out. I'm like, man, that makes me feel how little I've actually done. But it works so well. I was like, oh my God, I feel like my back doesn't hurt. And then I was like, I should do this a lot. And then I just haven't.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my mother and my grandmother to do a little bit with their aches and pains at their age. But
Yeah.
after that class, because she goes, I can give you my mat to try out a little bit. By the end of that class, 6 people came up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe how flexible you are." But little tidbit, my disability has my back arched forward a little bit. So every stretch forward, I did excellent because my body is stretched that way anyway. But I
There you
didn't
go.
tell them that.
But that's how it is. It's like what everything in life in general, where it's like if something's not working out, it's for another reason. So it's like if if there's a problem that way, that means you're running past people the other way. That's a
Exactly.
that's a
And you
metaphor for
never
everything.
know who you're inspiring, even if you think that you're not doing something good enough, put yourself out there, because like you just said, listening to me talk, it makes you think, okay, well, what can I do? And for me, you know, yeah, it'll make other people grateful, but I always remember how grateful I am just to be alive, because I think, you know, I was going to church for a while after um my father passed away, and they would always want to pray for me, and I will never turn away a prayer,
Mm,
but I don't think I have to be healed. I think I'm here the way I am for a reason. And
mm,
that's another message that I want to give to moms that are pregnant. If your baby is disabled, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't have to be fixed or healed. Okay, maybe, if it's a progressive disability where it'll get worse, maybe they have to have some surgeries. I had 8 when I was little, and
mm.
I just, I probably could have more, but I'm happy. I'm not in pain. So whatever. I'm not
Nice.
going for any more.
I am in pain. I need to stretch more.
Well, maybe if I'm ever in the West Coast swamp, I'll take you to yoga.
Oh, wow. Some shots there. No, I'm just playing. I appreciate it. I'm
Hey,
Marissa.
I'm in East Coast swamp, so I can't even say anything.
No, I enjoy it. I like the Strong Island. Alyssa said with the super chat, she said, "Thanks for being here today, Marissa. You're a smart and sweet girl with a heart of gold and a great message."
Oh, thank you, Alyssa. I really appreciate that.
And Francis Conception said, "Save the baby humans." Yeah, we're on it. We're doing our thing.
I'm trying. We're
What
all
up?
trying.
What other political situations now are on your radar besides obviously that one's just so big? I feel like Billy Madison. I don't know if you've seen it, but he takes like the fat kid in class and he shakes him and he's like, "Stay young as long as you can." Like I'm just like, wake up, like guys, they're killing babies. Like come on.
I love that movie. Stay as long as you can.
That's what it was. Yeah, I messed it up exactly. He says, "Stay as long as you can." The kid's like face is just rippling. He's just like so good.
Yeah, it is. It's scary, but
Yeah. What else
we
is
just
on?
gotta.
What else
We
is on your radar? Like that you think is on close to your heart?
Well, I definitely want to get a seat with the president to fix all the issues that I already talked about. My dream is to open an actual, like, I'm really putting my money where my mouth is with this, even though I don't have the money yet. Um, I want to open a mind, body, spirit center for people with and without disabilities to be able to coexist
Mm.
completely from top to bottom, accessible. And, I feel like every place should just be like that. You shouldn't feel like you can't it's segregation again. If you want another place for somebody with disabilities to be with their people, like I don't mind being friends with somebody who has a disability, but if I can't relate to you in another level, I can't be friends with you. What are we gonna do? Sit and talk about our disabilities all the time? Like, no. If you want me to coach you and you want to talk about your disability all the time, fine. But I can't be friends with somebody that's just gonna talk about their disability all the time.
Yeah, and this is the stuff that it would be so easy. Like when I think about utopia, that everyone dreams of, it's like, yeah, could be greener, like cleaner, and like stuff like this would be really easy to implement everywhere. But we're so busy running in circles that, I mean, where I'm in Los Angeles, it's getting worse. And it's like, we're talking about how progressive and great we are. Like I don't see it, and it's not like, all right, well, this is all getting bad, but we're taking care of disabilities and we're doing this, or we're making like it's all nothing's making sense, nothing's getting done, the roads aren't getting paved, where I'm like it's just so annoying to me because it's with all this brain power and spirit power, it should be pretty easy. So that's something that maybe we can come together and try to work on, because it's certainly not going to come from Washington, so it's going to have to be
Well,
people like us making it happen, and then leading the way, hopefully, like not only speaking wise but physically, taking steps and making places that like revolutionize the country.
honestly, I couldn't agree more. I was in Florida in December, and the sidewalks were, if they existed, were horrendous.
Mm.
And I actually have a petition on whitehouse.org, or yeah, I think it's whitehouse.org. It's on my Twitter. It has over 60 since yesterday. I had another one. It was on change.org, but I'm like, you know what? Let's just go straight to the president. And it's to fix roads, it's to fix sidewalks, it's to, help people fix their businesses. And you wouldn't believe the pushback that I'm already getting from people that, like, I want to close their business because it's not equipped. That's not what I'm saying. And I know that the money is a big issue in order to make it so. I'm not trying to make businesses go broke because they're not equipped. But that's discrimination, and there's no reason why your business shouldn't be. You know,
And
it
yeah,
should be no, it shouldn't be the ADA code. It should be, okay, if you're going to make a business, disabilities should go along with all of the other things that come with starting your own, especially physical place.
so what would it take to implement that? Like what are they missing? And also, is there a government budget for that stuff, or would they have to like what would they have to build? Why is it bothersome people?
Um well, I don't know like this one girl, I don't know specifically what was lacking in her business, but I understand, especially just starting out in your business, you're struggling just to keep it afloat, and all you can think about is the expenses. But for 200 billion to be allocated yearly for the disabled, and we're still 20% of the world's poorest, that's a gap in itself. And then you have to wonder, where's the money going? And of course, it doesn't just go to the individual, it goes to the services. But doctors are severely undereducated, and like we've been saying, places aren't equipped. So maybe giving those businesses uh, money when they apply for business loans, specifically allocated towards making their business equipped, at least to start with. I don't believe in government handouts or whatever, and I feel like this should be something that you just think about, but unfortunately we're not there. And I don't know why. It's people look at it like you're trying to tear apart their whole business because you want to make changes that would ultimately, honestly, give them a whole new demographic of clients. Because
It,
there's people who won't put themselves out there, like I keep saying, and just go or even ask. So I'm making myself that person to
yeah,
ask on behalf of everybody who won't ask. Okay, make your place accessible so that we can come and enjoy your services and make you money.
yeah, and is it the law? Like, is it illegal to do that, or is it just not good?
Well,
Okay.
the Americans with Disabilities Act says that you have to have buildings accessible after 1990. Businesses, private businesses, I don't think you have to, which
Okay.
is the sad thing. You
Okay.
you don't have to.
Well, I think that's the way to do it is, saying something. And also, it says an estimated 54 million Americans are living with disabilities. So it's not a small demographic. I mean, if they can, put Spanish on the bank machines, they can do something as well.
Exactly. If you're and I I took Spanish for many years in school. I don't remember a lot of it. I have nothing against any foreigners as long as you're here legally. That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, no, I know you. I know you're on it.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't want people to feel threatened like we're trying to take over. We're just, the quality of life of the disabled, maybe partially by fault of our own, not putting ourselves out there, but why should we have to live up to the same standards of everyday Americans? We shouldn't still have to fight for these rights. And people like to equate it to, the race wars and everything. Well, okay, it's just as wrong not to be equipped as it is to tell a black person they can't come into a building. So I'm not against that either.
Well, it
You
takes
know,
people like you, I think, to really put it out there. Because, like you said, a lot of people, will just hang in the sides and be told all the time they can't do stuff or they can't do that. But you put yourself out there just like you did with me. Next thing you know, I'm like, I'll follow her. Next thing you know, I'm like, I want to have her on. Hopefully, next thing you know, we'll get you out there with Trump because I think you'd be a great voice to just explain to the people like how sick these crazy abortion bills are. So we'll see. I only have so much reach, but this is a start. Everybody follow Marissa. We're gonna talk a little more, but Marissa Meleske, it's in the bio. Follow her on Twitter, and her blog spot's right at the top of the description of this thing. Follow her, start following what she says. She weighs in on a lot of social and political issues, but let's get you to the White House. Maybe that's what we need to do.
that's my dream. If I'm gonna be the face of this thing, we're not gonna play small. I'm not gonna go. I'll go from business to business. If you want me to go to your business and teach you how to do it, I'll do that. But let's just go straight to the top. That's
Eh,
actually how I met him. I met
yeah.
him at a rally in New York.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I actually had to fight for that too because I was there from like 9 a.m. I was like one of the first 4 people there. The other guys got there like 7 or 8 in the morning. Freezing cold in April of 2016. And when I got in, I was kind of far back, and I'm like, but there was the gate, and I'm like, this is weird. Why is there such a big space? Like, do they really think somebody's gonna trample the stage that bad where it's half the arena is back? No, the VIPs ended up coming in front of me, and it was a big space, so it wasn't like one or two VIPs that I could tell to move. So what do? I get the Secret Service, and I'm like, can you help me? I can't see. They're like, well, everybody's in here now. We can't really move you, and I'm like, well, this is discrimination. As soon as I said that, they're like, well, let me see what I can do.
There you go.
Then they challenged me because the guy comes back and he's like, he just the look on his face. I know the look. It's like, you're not gonna be able to do this, but I'm just gonna tell you so that like I'm giving you kind of the answer that you want. So he's like, if you can make it to the, because I was towards the middle, if you can make it to the other side, we can take you sort of up.
Mm.
So I go, okay, can everybody just make a way? And for everybody who says that people are mean at a Trump rally, no. They all moved out of my way. I went, ended up sitting right next to his kids. He came down after his speech. They stopped him for me, and I got to meet him. I was laughing the whole time with Don Jr. Laura Trump followed me on Instagram. It was great. I don't have that connection yet where I could just be like, hey, can I go to the Oval Office
Oh,
tomorrow?
we're gonna make it happen because
But
you don't mess with Strong Island. You get out of the
no.
way, and they sit right next to the Trumps. Get out of the.
Yeah, right. And honestly, I think that for 2020, this should be a big issue, and we need to start now.
Oh, for sure. And I've seen they've had someone on. I think I don't know exactly what he had, but there's been someone I've seen on talking against abortion, and I think that you know you have the message and the vision and really the delivery that they could use. And I say that all the time where I'm always poking at Fox and like a lot of like I'm like, book me out. Part of me is joking, I don't care, but at the same time it's not even like, oh, I want, but I'm like, I have good vision of like, you know, they need a spot where if it's, we have to really come with it. And everything that we make excuses and say, oh, they did this and that, but it's like, what could we have done better, you know? So if they win in 2020, like maybe it's because we didn't have the right people in the right places. So we'll work on doing that. Any last words? Marissa Meleske, please follow her, check out her blog spot, and also we're gonna try to get her linked with Trump. I don't know how, but I'm making jokes, so you already know.
And that's actually I forgot what I was gonna say now. I totally went blank.
It's all good. Nah, yeah. Any last words or anything you want to say to the people? Because everyone in the comments loves you, and I think you got us amped up for the day. I'm ready too. I need to get some sunlight. I need to stretch, and I'm also thinking when you were saying you couldn't see, I was like, I'm pretty tall. I'm like 6'2", 6'3". I'm like, I'm always ruining people's day. Anytime I go to a show, they're just like, oh man, this guy's standing in front of me. I'm like, all right, I gotta move out of the way.
Well, as long as you stay to the left or the right of me when we meet Trump, you're good.
Yeah.
Just don't get in front of me.
No, I'm gonna make it happen, and then it's like I'm not, and then I'm like, hey, it's me, it's just me, and you're like, come on, what are you doing? No, I'm just playing.
Who's this guy? Oh, sorry, just dropped my phone.
It's all good. I went to me. You got it. Yeah, then you could play that on me. You're like, I've never met this guy, and then you're like, Secret Service, get him out of there. So you know, it goes both ways. I have no idea
who this guy is.
I'm like, come on, I got the. That would happen too. They'd believe you, and they'd be like, dude, this guy's a real threat to the blacklisted forever.
Oh, I use the disability to my advantage sometimes.
I mean, yeah, you got to they got to not take your money away when you actually get when you work hard, that's what it's like. Use it to your disadvantage, but they shouldn't take money. Like it's like the welfare thing. It annoys me because it's like you get 2-3 jobs, then they're like, all right, we take this money away. Then you had less money than you had with no jobs.
Take it away after a certain point. Like I said, I don't want to be beholden to it forever, but let us close the gap of where we are and where you want to take us off, and then where we want to get to. Any
last words? Give the people a message or anything that you want to say where they can find you. I already got your Twitter and Blogspot, but yeah.
You can also find me on YouTube. It's Marissa 11586. I'm trying to change it to Push Past Paralysis, but it keeps going back. I don't know why, but that's if you haven't had enough of my rambling mouth by now, you could just go to my YouTube. But yeah, I'm just really trying to make a change with my voice, and I feel like that's the most any of us can do. If you have the ability to have a phone in front of you or a computer in front of you, turn it on. If you don't want to be on camera, that's fine. There's social media, but make noise and do it in a productive way. Don't run in the streets. Don't destroy things. Don't threaten anybody. The way to make your voice heard is to come to the table with actual solutions. Don't rely on them to do it for you, because they won't come up with anything.
Amen. And what you should do is I'm going to end this video. Once it's ended in like 10 or 15 minutes, it'll show up on my channel. Comment and say something in the comment, and I'll pin it to the top so people can click right on and find your YouTube. But it takes like 10, 15, 20 minutes sometimes. But get the top comment, I'll pin it, and then people could just click right there and follow you on YouTube.
Awesome. I definitely will.
Thank you, Marissa. I have good insight. And when you reached out, I was like, I gotta have her on. I don't regret it for a second. It was even better than I thought it would be. Appreciate you, and I think you're gonna be a very serious voice, and you're already making an impact. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And everybody have a good day.
This is a huge platform to be invited to.
We got it. Everyone have a good day, except for the people aborting like already born babies. God have mercy on your sick souls. For real though. All right, see you guys.
It's serious, but